Tesla is far behind any other full self-driving company, according to this Twitter thread. And I will dissect this. I only own Tesla stock. I sold all my S&P 500 to buy Tesla stock. And I really believe Tesla will be the first company to solve full self-driving. But this has some valid points, and I will go through those. And this is quite a lot. It's a Twitter thread. So it says, as many as you know, I was working for an actual FSD company for a few years. I wonder which one actually. I have since changed jobs, industries, but I do have one little bit of competitive intelligence from drinks last night. So he's saying FSD is out of compute, which is perhaps true, and it is likely to actually be true. And I don't really think it's that big of a deal as this person makes it sound. But it is a valid concern, and I will talk about that as well a little bit later. But now, first, he says, or she says, I'll just say he, a simple reverse engineering of a car's computer can reveal this pretty quickly. Now, I'm not sure how to do that exactly, and I don't have any way to verify that, but I would assume it's probably true. And I think I have a pretty good way to explain why that's coming up a little bit later. So when he says Tesla's approach to FSD seems to live up to how they have marketed it. Identify factors or situations where the car fails, use data to solve those factors, deploy onto the car. Basically, every FSD company I know of does this same pattern. Say that Tesla wants to train their car to handle open car doors, as they show in their latest video. First step is seeing open car doors. So they get some training data, they use that to find more training data in the wild. Very true, in the wild. They label that, etc., etc., etc. And they repeat this process until they have more data and the precision and recall are very high. Now, the problem that he is saying here is that at some point, when you have so many variables and attributes and scenarios that you're detecting, that the compute demand skyrockets, which is true. And he makes a case that specifically the car that they were looking at was simply out of compute power. And he's saying that the chips are simply running at 100% and they don't have any power left. So you could optimize everything, of course, but still there's only so much that you can do of that. Or is it? Okay, and then this is where I'm starting to raise my eyebrows a little bit. So he's saying that two problems with upgrading the computers is, number one, that's expensive. It is expensive in absolute terms, but maybe in relative terms, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. You don't know for sure if it will only happen once. Well, here's a solution that I will demonstrate right now, which will blow everyone's minds. So if you have a full self-driving computer, but if FSD is not working yet, and it still needs improvements, what do you do then? Well, how many cars is Tesla going to deliver this year? 1.4 million maybe? Maybe a little bit more? Okay. Now, how many people have FSD that purchased until now? How many? How many? It's not... Okay, so in the next 2 years, probably, Tesla will deliver more cars than it has ever delivered before when you combine all the other years. So what Tesla can simply do is just all the new cars. Here's hardware 4 or full self-driving computer number 2. Okay, if that doesn't work, which maybe it will not, I think there's a good chance that will not be enough. Okay, all the new cars, you get hardware 5. And the moment we solve full self-driving, everyone else will get the computer that will actually work. And you could say, okay, but that's so much money. That's going to be so much money. Okay, Tesla right now has, you know how much cash? Almost $20 billion. And that fluctuates, obviously, but let's just say it's $20 billion. Okay, so let's say each computer, and I will use a higher number here. Let's say, okay, $2,000 per computer. All right, seems a little bit high. Well, let's say $2,000. Okay, for, let's say by then they need to upgrade how many cars? Let's say 3 million. Okay, 3 million cars, probably a lot more, but let's just say 3 million. Okay, it's at $6 billion. Tesla has $20 billion already. Let's just say 20. In absolute terms, that is an absolutely crazy amount. For Tesla, that is not that crazy of an amount. Because And keep in mind, I'm using $2,000 per computer. Is it going to be that expensive? If it's just $1,000, that's half the price for 3 million vehicles. So I don't think using the argument, oh, that's just too expensive. I don't think you can say that. Of course, if you are let's say with hardware 3.0, like my Model 3 has that, maybe you'll be a little bit sad until Tesla solves complete full self-driving, and perhaps they could say, okay, if right now, if you like, you can upgrade right now if you want to. Eventually we will pay for the computer upgrade, but if you want to do so right now, maybe we can't pay for that right now because we can't guarantee it will work on your computer. But if you get a new Tesla, of course you will get the newest computer. So I don't see that as an issue. It appears also that we are working on hardware 5 already even. So we'll see what happens. So this argument, I really don't buy that. You just need, it just, that's it. There's nothing more in which we really need to talk about that. Okay. So, and again, this addresses this point as well. Okay. And then further, he says that anything prior to that, a computer upgrade is an expensive waste. Yeah, sort of. You could say that, but you don't need to upgrade every single computer until you have FSD solved, and of course then you upgrade it, like I mentioned earlier. And very tricky situation for Tesla because they are effectively stuck at ever demonstrating public FSD improvements without this upgrade. Definitely not true, because Tesla deliveries increase by about 50% every year. So basically any next 2 years, it's basically going to be more cars delivered than all the years combined, or something like that. And to be clear, small increments are not good enough. We've seen the videos of the Tesla car veering into oncoming traffic. That happens all the time. This is beta still. And this is AI working. This is not a geofenced area. This is actual AI working in an area that the car probably does not have much data on in many cases. Okay, and this is my favorite one. Put another way, can a Tesla FSD beta tester show us a video of a car successfully navigating a crowded urban area with more than 20 pedestrians? And of course he says, I cannot find it. Well, it's on my channel. I have one video called Proof That Tesla Bot Will Work. You can watch that one. You will see it's roughly a 10-minute drive. It navigates through a lot of pedestrians successfully, no interventions. And then I have another, and that beta version was a few updates before the newest version. So the newest version I would assume would be even better. And then I have another video with not the latest version, but the one before, titled Proof FSD Will Work in Europe. And that one, it doesn't have as many people, but it goes through one area where there are quite a few people successfully, not as many people. Well, seeing this tweet here, everything else that he says now, I am really questioning it, because obviously the data that this person has is wrong. So I see why he would think that. If he hasn't seen that, of course, I would understand that then. So I don't feel, there's no point in attacking someone like that at this point. You just have to show him the data. And I expect they would highlight that the FSD computer is just so underpowered that it's completely 100% stuck in a crowded scene with unpredictable objects. If you watch that video, the proof that Tesla bot is possible, which is basically me demonstrating FSD working. We took a video from Hallmark's channel, YouTube channel, and that's basically proof that the bot can navigate successfully crowded areas, because the car is already, in a way, a robot, just on 4 wheels instead of 2 legs. Okay, and then he talks about LiDAR, which is a whole different business model. So if you are stuck with LiDAR, you can only deploy it to an area that is not going to be everywhere, and it's going to be very expensive to develop geofencing and all of that. Once you solve full self-driving with cameras and how Tesla is doing it, it will work everywhere and anywhere in the world under any conditions, and LiDAR will be over immediately after that. Now, until that happens, LiDAR could thrive, and there is certainly probably a lot of money to be made doing that. But this is a temporary business model in my mind, unless you believe that it will take decades for Tesla to solve full self-driving, which I don't think it will. I think it's fairly close. I'm just betting that by 2030 they will do it. There's a few more tweets which are not really worth discussing much more, because the points are a little bit weak and there's not much in there. So what do you think about full self-driving? Is Tesla FSD out of compute? So this is a release note from the latest update and says improved system frame rate by 1.8 frames per second by removing free legacy neural networks. So it doesn't say it's using more compute power. It's just saying we were removing these other things that are taking compute power so that we can improve the frame rate. And this, I think, is perhaps proof, indirect proof that compute is already maxed out, because if it's not, then you could just increase the frame rates per second without having to remove anything, probably. So definitely not direct proof, but perhaps proof enough. And does this change anything I think about Tesla? No. If anything, it makes me actually more bullish on the stock, because knowing that people that even have experience in full self-driving, that worked in full self-driving, and they don't know, as an example, that Tesla can already navigate in very complicated situations with a lot of pedestrians, and using that as an argument to bet against Tesla. That actually makes me feel more bullish on the stock, because once that information actually gets out and becomes public knowledge to everyone, then everyone will, of course, be more bullish on Tesla, making the stock go up. So I feel good about the stock. I believe Tesla stock will 10x by 2030 at least. I would believe that Tesla stock will go up to $10,000 per share by 2030. And I sold all my S&P 500, and the only stock that I own now that you can buy on a publicly traded stock exchange is Tesla. So I believe in Tesla very, very much. And if you like to see the progression of FSD just from this year alone, you can go through my channel and you will see the improvements, how FSD is getting better and better and better and better with every improvement. And now, allegedly, FSD 11 is already in some people's cars shadow driving, which basically means it's not doing anything, but it's just comparing how a person is driving compared to what the software would actually do. So it seems like we are getting ready to release that soon. I just hope with FSD 11 where we integrate all the stacks, basically use one type of software for highway driving, which for most people works fine, and then city streets, it's a whole different software that we use, and then for parking, I don't know what we use, because there has been a scratch on our Model 3, and let's say it definitely did not happen when we were using parking mode for the car. Never happened. Never happened. That definitely never happened. It sucks. The parking one sucks a lot. It's quite bad. I hope it gets better. I never use it. Not anymore. We never use it anymore. It's really bad. Very bad. But everything else is the highway one is pretty decent for most people. So I'm keeping the stock. I'm buying more. And it's sort of fun to dissect those arguments against Tesla. And makes me actually feel better about the stock. When will FSD be solved? That's a whole different question. Geofencing and using LiDAR is a whole different solution to the problem. And that might happen first, maybe. But then once Tesla solves actual artificial intelligence needed for full self-driving, I don't think anyone will ever catch up to Tesla after that. So that's what I think. My name is Matt Hostess. I'm a serial millionaire, entrepreneur, and investor. Subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.